Hello, welcome to the Basketball Addicts podcast. Today we have another little hot takes. Basically, if you read the title, you should probably understand what it is. But if you can't see the title, didn't understand the title, we're going to be talking about Kobe Bryant today. We're going to be talking about why he's the most loved player of all time. Um, we're recording this on Kobe's birthday. Obviously, he passed away a few years ago in the terrible helicopter accident. But this would have been his 43rd birthday today, August 23rd, which is kind of funny. I was born in November 23rd. A little common. Wow, okay, cool. Probably no meaningful coincidence, just my brain trying to find some connection, I guess. So yeah, I thought a little bit about this, and I really want to really talk about how amazing Kobe Bryant's story is, how amazing he is, how he deserves to be the most loved basketball player of all time. And I feel like he is that at this moment in time. When somebody dies young, usually that adds on to it. A lot of people who have been presidents who died young, lasted throughout the years, like JFK and Abe Lincoln, kind of had more recognition. Actors, singers like Elvis Presley, people who die young are usually remembered. But even if he didn't die young, I feel like what he was and what he represents is the reason why he's the most loved basketball player of all time. Now, he's not the best ever, but I feel like he's the most loved. I feel like that should stay there until another extremely special human being comes and plays basketball. Um, the reason why I think he should be the most loved basketball player of all time and why he is and why I just, stories and thinking what I'm thinking about him, what I think about him personally is a lot of the people who are in top 10, top 15, top 20 ever all-time players are ridiculous athletes in NBA. Michael Jordan, 6'6", hands the size of watermelons, like bouncy for days, ridiculous hang time. LeBron James, 6'9", freight train. KD, 6'11" guy who can move like a guard. We obviously know Shaq, like 350, huge. Will Chamberlain is like winning track events in college at 7'1", 7'2". Like, these guys are ridiculous. Hakeem Olajuwon, the feet of a point guard, has a 7-footer body. David Robinson could jump out of the gym. Like, there's a lot of guys that are in the top 10 that are ridiculous. Bigger bodies like Bird and Magic. Bird is not as athletic, but 6'8", you can get away from them things. 6'6" is what Kobe is. It's harder to get away with the things that Bird got away with when you're. What I'm saying is there's a difference between being 6'8" and 6'6", basically, with how little athleticism Larry Bird had. Him being 6'6", he probably wouldn't have been the player we remember to be. So what I wanted to get at here is how amazing he is goes to his frame. So he had a 36 or 37, 38, somewhere around there inch vertical. That's above average. He wasn't one of those guys with like a 7'1" wingspan like Moses Moody coming out of the NBA draft. He wasn't a guy that was, super fast. He had a good first step, but he wasn't like Allen Iverson. He wasn't like, ridiculous people like John Wall or De'Aaron Fox. You know what I mean? Those are elite speed athletes. LeBron James. What made Kobe amazing is he put himself in that class with what was above average genetics for an NBA player, NBA 2 guard. Let's call it above average, but not all time great. Into an all time great, sensational, world class basketball player. We all know how he did it. He did it by outworking everybody else. All the stories that you can look up on YouTube of NBA players talking about how when they got there to practice, he would wait until they were done and then finish, and like always competitive in every single moment. Just everybody was amazed by his work ethic. I mean, like stories like LeBron and D Wade getting done with the Olympic practice and wanting to go home, and then seeing him go on a bike ride for like hours on end after practice, and they were like, "Oh, we have to step up our game." He was an elite worker with elite workers. Like there has to be some work ethic to be in the NBA, right? Even if you have Ben Simmons' body, like Ben Simmons still needs to be able to dribble, shoot. We can't shoot, but I mean, he still needs to be able to dribble the ball. Still needs to be able to make a layup. Like there's some at least level of work that everybody has to put in. Um, so that has to attract people who work. You know what I mean? That position, the NBA, the league, and his never stop attitude of no matter what happens, no matter what injury happens. I mean, there's a crazy video of him dislocating his finger, him going to I'm guessing their team doctor. It was like a weird situation. It was like he walked over there, just popped it back in. The doctor slaps him twice in the back of the neck, and he just walks. Like they don't even say anything. Like it was like, oh my goodness, he had his own aura about him. It's just no matter what you do, you could not be stopped. Tough shot maker, mid range. I mean, the guy literally once was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna practice my left hand. So for the situation where I can't shoot with my right, I'm still gonna be dominant with my left." And he dropped like 20 points in a game just with his left hand. He's ridiculous. He's a uh, once in a probably generational worker. Love for his craft, and he was also spreading that, right? He was also finding up and coming players like Kyrie, like Kawhi Leonard, that wanted to come learn from him, right? He was teaching all these type of things, you know what I mean? And that's amazing. It seemed like he really loved his family. There's all those stories about him flying after games to go be with his family quicker to save time so he doesn't have to sit in traffic. Like that's amazing, because what he is the example of is that whatever you prioritize in your life, whatever you really value, you have to work really hard to try to create, but you should always like put in that effort, right? So his values were basketball and family, at least from the outside looking in. I'm obviously never met Kobe Bryant in my life, never had the pleasure, but from the outside looking in, it looked like basketball and family. And that's amazing, right? Knows what he wants out of life and just works tirelessly at it. Like I remember watching a Steven Jackson Matt Barnes podcast, and obviously it's not basketball related, but he even like talked about how he would find old couples and ask them like what their secrets are to them being married for advice for him and his wife. Like that is the kind of human being that is always improving, no matter how amazing. I mean, Kobe Bryant at one point in time was him and LeBron were the two most famous basketball players in the NBA. He was a superstar, right? We all loved Kobe. I mean, grew up with Kobe. So yeah, he's an amazing example of that work ethic and that determination to no matter what stands in your way, no matter what hurdles you incur. Like he's had hurdles. Like I remember that one time he was on trial. I forget what it was exactly for. Obviously, he didn't serve any time for it, so it must have not. He must not have been guilty. But I'm sure there was more examples other than just that. Where's hurdles? You know what I mean? Shaq, Kobe dilemma, drama. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure he had multiple things in his life that he had to overcome, but he just always seemed to make the right move, the right step, the right perseverance to just keep on staying his course and chasing what he wanted to do. And I feel like that's why he should be most loved. Because we love Michael Jordan for all the stories about him working, but there's part of it that's like you were gifted with all of any gifts that could be given to a two guard to a 6'6" human being has been gifted to Michael Jordan. Big hands, long arms, good physique, the physique that can put on muscle, right? Extremely athletic, bouncy legs. You know, I mean, that guy came genetic lottery. LeBron James, genetic lottery. Like, I'm sure those guys are working extremely hard, but there's part of Kobe that is the awe factor of wow. How is this guy getting so close to a guy who Michael Jordan has so much more than him athletically? You know what I mean? All those stories about what he's done. And he was moving on to another phase of his life with the books and the children's books and coaching his Dollars basketball team. It's just, he is an example for everybody ever to just be who you want to be and chase it. You know what I mean? He is an amazing, inspiring story. And I feel like he should always be the most loved basketball player of all time because he had also the ability to show us these things, right? And it's just he never really cheated anybody. He never acted like somebody he wasn't. He was always 100% authentic. And it's just an extremely impressive human being. And it's rare for somebody to just have that otherworldly work ethic like that. I mean, the footwork, the fadeaways, everything. He's just mental toughness is just his ability to go through injury, to go through pain is amazing. It's world class. And he should always be treated as a world class individual, world class human being, and be looked at as the most loved basketball player of all time. We should love Kobe forever. We should love what he was as a human being, what he stood for, what he tried to be, and his work ethic to try to get there every single day. And it's just that's what he should be forever. You know, there's been a lot of greats. You know, Wilt, Shaq, MJ. I mean, I grew up in Cleveland with LeBron. I mean, I think LeBron's a great human being. He's so well rounded. Started uh, a school in Cleveland. You know, been married for a very long time. But what Kobe, what Kobe did was a little extra because he didn't have all-time great gifts, but he had otherworldly work ethic and mental side. So yeah, I think he should be the most loved player of all time. I think it should stay that way. Honestly, I would probably change the logo from Jerry West. I he's just he's an icon of love for basketball, love of growth, and love of becoming the best you can be. So that's the thing I wanted to talk about Kobe today. His birthday. It is sad to always think about. So yeah, we're the Basketball Addicts. You guys can find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. You know, you can find us. Thank you guys for listening. And I'm Jason Collins, and we're the Basketball Addicts. Peace out.